when the latter launched the party in 2001. It was in the early 1980s that Professor Kodanram plunged into the civil liberties movement full-time. From 1996, he started organizing seminars on the Telangana issue, and after joining the Telangana Vidya Vantula Vedika, was elected its president in 2004. I would like to request Professor Kodanram to speak on the book.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and dignitaries on the dais. Let me, at the outset, congratulate Gautam Pingle for bringing out a very wonderful book on Telangana. Half of the book deals with history of the region, the remaining half deals with the contemporary issues. But they are not disconnected. While the first half shows that the integration of the two regions was itself, at that historical juncture was uncalled for, and the current problem lies in this merger of two historically different, historically two varied regions into one single state. And it explains the evolution of the princely state, the government's policy towards the princely states, and then it shows how the merger came about. What forces really compelled the union government to take a decision on this merger. This was not in any way a democratic decision. The people of Telangana were neither consulted nor involved in the entire decision-making process. The unity eventually resulted in the domination of one region over the other, and that necessitates the division too, the bifurcation too. The second half shows the current movement, particularly the Sri Krishna Committee report, its strengths and weaknesses. Whatever may be the conclusions of the Sri Krishna Committee, the writer argues that the report clearly establishes a need for bifurcation. All the facts clearly indicate that there is a strong case for bifurcation, and that's how the report is looked at. And finally, the current situation and how one has to find the way forward is what the book deals with. The significance of the book lies in the fact that many people are not aware of these historical realities, particularly in Delhi. The widespread belief in Delhi is that the bifurcation hurts the interest of Andhra. None of them realize that the integration itself was miscalculated, and that the integration has resulted in the underdevelopment of Telangana region, and the division is one of the important steps to ameliorate the situation in this region, contribute to the development of the Telangana region. Now they must then think of having divided the state, they must think of providing special assistance to the Telangana region. But on the contrary, the union government is of the firm opinion that the interests of the Andhra region are hurt, and therefore special packages are required for the Andhra region. Every time you go to Delhi in order to present a case, they would always say, you are getting your Telangana, what else you want? And therefore, therefore they say they require special status, they require Polavaram, they require all the villages in Khammam district, is the kind of an argument. And it is so difficult to convince that the formation of Telangana state is only a first step. What is required is something more than that. Something more than that. It is in this context I would also take the liberty to present a few more issues and take leave. For a long period, there is no proper study on the Telangana region. In the 1970s, many people looked at Telangana region when the separate Telangana movement was at its peak. They all thought that the movement was an outcome of faction feuds within the Congress party. And they never bothered to examine the social basis of the separate Telangana agitation. Subsequently, And therefore, within this framework, one always thought of accommodating political leaders in order to resolve the demand. And that was the policy outcome of the Congress party. Now at a much later date, many people also looked at it as some kind of a parochial assertion similar to the Shiv Sena movement in Bombay. Now today, slowly, the regional assertions are looked at in a different context. People see regional assertions as a concentrated expression of varied social assertions and social movements. Not just, it cannot be seen in isolation from the social dynamics. That is the current understanding all over the world. And federal units are no longer seen as mere political administrative units. They are seen as entities that give expression to the social aspirations of different social groups. Telangana is not merely an administrative or a geographical entity. It is a social entity. And therefore the assertion of Telangana is assertion of the entire social groups that constitute Telangana. And this assertion has a long history and dates back to the 1950s itself. And that's what the book clearly illustrates. Now when these two unequal entities have been brought together, it resulted in the rise of the rich peasantry from coastal Andhra. In fact, the merger was in the interest of the rich peasantry from coastal Andhra. It is they who manipulated, and they could really manipulate the union government and get a favorable decision after they attained political unity. They were disintegrated, fragmented in 1950s. By 1953, the by-elections, the rich peasantry in coastal Andhra comes together and they establish their own hegemony over the entire region. Having established political hegemony, now they begin to campaign for the integration of the two regions. And this is the class that uses political authority carefully in order to craft the entire administrative system, the rules, regulations, and use the economy to their advantage. They become a force, and eventually in the 1980s, when liberalization policies started, they begin to use the administrative machinery, they begin to use the resources to their advantage. Now what happens on the other side? Now in the Telangana region, it is, the assertion takes place at two different levels. At the village level, they have been asserting in order to overthrow the domination of the landed gentry, and at the state level, they also begin to assert for a separate political unit so that they can get the required attention from the union government. That's what the oppressed communities in Telangana do. Therefore, 1969 and 1996, the current Telangana movement, in a way, they are in form one and the same, but in content, there is a significant difference. In form, they are one and the same in the sense both the movements demand separate state, but the content of orientation of 1969 movement is of a different kind. It launches a campaign against the Andhra Siljan. The 1969 movement was an assertion of the middle classes. It was a fight against injustice, discrimination. But after that, many changes take place in Telangana region. We see the rise of OBCs, rise of the SCs, rise of the other minority communities too. And these are the sections which also find a political space. But this kind of social democracy does not reflect in politics. The politics, increasingly, the power is monopolized by a few classes. That is the tension we see increasing in the 1980s and 90s, often represented by Naxalites, sometimes by the Dalit movement, sometimes by the other social assertions. But in the 90s, all these movements come together, coalesce, and they begin to demand a separate state. And separate state is one method by which they can control the government, use the resources to their advantage. Now see, in the 1970s, when the rich peasantry gains control, the entire state goes to their rescue. It establishes various institutions that can help them grow up. In the early 2000, again, during the Chandrababu's tenure, the state establishes a number of agencies that go to their rescue. It privatizes everything, changes the laws, and so many new mechanisms have been introduced so that they benefit. Now people in Telangana ask for a similar benefit. They want irrigation and they want employment. They want livelihood opportunities. They want control over the other important local institutions such as banks, such as local governments, such as political parties. They also want to have some control over the media so that they can shape their lives. The entire desire is to have control over one's own life and shape one's own life. That is the logic behind this movement, and therefore you see widespread use of cultural forms, which was not the case in 1969. This movement we see song plays such a vital role. And it is, the artist who begins to mobilize people. He launches the campaign and then political parties come to the stage at a very later stage. In 2001, TRS comes to the fore, begins to give a political expression to this movement. After TRS emerges, various political parties have taken a stand. So this is a less known fact that the movement has been initiated by non-party forums, because there is no space within the political realm, within the realm of social institutions. So you go outside, establish your own forum, have your own dhumdam, have your own cultural program, and that's where you begin to mobilize, and that's where you become strong, and eventually it finds a political expression. And this political expression itself has to be recognized and given a legal, recognition, and that's what has happened finally. But then the kind of efforts that one makes to support even the parliamentary institutions so that the bifurcation doesn't take place. The way they use pepper spray in the parliament. If you look at it, in fact, it is an isolated incident. Maybe it is of not much, it doesn't have any significance at all. But one is trying to support the parliamentary processes so that the bifurcation can be stopped. That's the kind of an effort one makes. Any number of illegal mechanisms that have been adopted in order to suppress and then deny the separate statehood. This, I think, is one important issue that one needs to highlight as far as the Telangana movement is concerned. In my opinion, it is a social movement. It is a social movement initiated and launched by the most oppressed communities. And these are the communities which now like to have control over the political life too. And it results in, what is very significant is that this results in the new institutions in Telangana region that unite people, that provide guidance to people, and that can play a vital role in the reconstruction of the Telangana society. There are innumerable social organizations, non-party forums that play a vital role. Now these then are some of the important issues. I am of the firm opinion that a lot of issues needs to be studied very, very carefully. And in fact, during the course of the bifurcation process, the amount of discussion that has taken place on the legal aspects, particularly on the reorganization acts, the nature of the Article 3 and 4, I think some of these issues needs to be studied very carefully. All that I want to say at the end is that, the state's reorganization process needs to be looked in a different light. It is not merely a struggle for some kind of an administrative restructure. This is a social assertion. A social assertion which is trying to democratize the societies. The formation of Telangana state is an attempt at democratizing the Telangana society. It is as significant as land reform. It is as significant as the reservations. And it brings about radical changes, in my opinion, not only in Telangana, but even in Andhra. To understand all these dynamics, this is a very good support. And this book helps you to get a lot of insights into the state making process, into the bifurcation process. It also helps you to understand why this movement has emerged in the first instance. I once again congratulate Gautam Pingle for writing such wonderful book and taking it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Konga. Pandit Busku Narayan Reddy, an advocate by profession, has been an independent member of Parliament from Nizamabad from 1967 to 1971. He is unquestionably one of the most eminent and respected statesmen in Telangana. Pandit Narayan Reddy Garu has occupied many posts by virtue of his parliamentary position and has spoken and written extensively on issues concerning Telangana. His memory of events and compilation of documents on Telangana is unequaled and has been of great help to scholars and politicians over the years. Pandit Narayan Reddy Garu was instrumental in filing a writ petition with the High Court demanding the release of the secret Chapter 8 of the Sri Krishna Committee report. This led the court to intervene, denouncing the chapter and its leakage. For Pandit Narayan Reddy Garu, the enactment of the bill is the culmination of a long personal struggle to set right injustices to Telangana and its people. I now request Pandit Narayan Reddy Garu to share his insights with us.